Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle as he strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Good morning and welcome to Africa's finest breakfast show. It's Global Morning on Global Television, and indeed we're happy to be part of your lives this 22nd day of August 2024, and it means we have barely some 8+ days to wrap it up for the month of August, as we expect a very, very exciting September coming forward. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to today's edition of the program, where we intend to make your day truly amazing with all the big happenings across the globe, and especially the African continent, where we'll be looking at the largest black nation in the world, Nigeria, giving you details as regards what's playing out at the national and sub-national levels with very interesting talking points across board. It's no secret that a lot of issues have been playing out as regards the federal government and all the departments and parastatals. I'm not alone. I'm with Queen Agaba, who will be helping us make sure that today is truly beautiful. She is the lady in red.
Good morning, Anthony.
Yeah. How you doing?
Looked up this morning. I'm very well, thank you.
I used to think when they say lady in red, meant this European lady is looking nice in red. But wow, I think black is more beautiful in red.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. How was your night, first of all?
I had a good rest following, all of the activities from work and preparations for this morning.
After your report.
Preparations for this morning's Global Morning. Of course, we have to be here to bring the finest to our viewers.
Sure. All right, we've got some very interesting things to share with you, but we're starting on the sad note as regards flood issues playing out in Nigeria, and Bauchi State is where it's all beginning from, where the Bauchi State Emergency Management Agency, they're called SEMA, has confirmed the death of 11 more people following the recent flood disaster in Bauchi North Senatorial District, bringing the total number of deaths recorded so far to 18. Sources gathered that the recent flood incident occurred in Gadia village in Gamawa local government area of the state, where affected communities continue to grapple with the aftermath. The flood also destroyed over 200 houses and washed away over 300 farmlands, leaving the villagers stranded and homeless. Recorded 7 persons were reportedly killed from severe flooding caused by the heavy rainfall in the same Bauchi North district 2 weeks ago. This issue of flood and the death toll is very disturbing. Bauchi, not a riverine area, but you can imagine how much they've lost. Do you think NEMA, SEMA, and the relevant authorities have done much? And the people themselves, have they contributed?
Well, SEMA and NEMA have done quite a lot. Following the last flooding last year and recently this year, we saw a lot of interventions as well as measures that they put in place to ensure that there's maybe the effect of the flooding is mitigated, and then we don't have that much adverse effect of flooding, and in terms of information. But I think more needs to be done in terms of putting out more information about flooding. But the people in particular have a whole lot to do, yes. Informations, I don't know how well the informations that must have been conveyed about flooding and how to prevent flooding in your environment must have been put out. It's one thing to put out information, it's another thing to put it in a way where the target audience or the end audience would understand, maybe in their language, maybe with signs, maybe with symbols, so that they are able to help themselves prevent flooding. We see a lot of people, the last flooding that occurred in Lagos, somewhere in Lagos, we saw that people were, it was already flooded. The area was flooded already. So you could tell that this is as a result of poor drainage or blockage of some sort. And then in the midst of that flood, we saw people trashing their waste, putting their waste in the flood so that it would, the flood would take it away, sweep it away, unknown to them. It might be easy for them, but in the long run, it's causing more harm and damage to them, endangering their environment, and making the prevalence of diseases and other infectious diseases more prevalent in that area. And so if we look at it as just disposing waste immediately, temporarily, having to ease off the burden of looking for where to dispose your waste, in the long run, it's going to affect you. But look at it again. When we talk about why people would dispose their waste during the flood or in the rainy season, it's because there are lack of poor, number one, drainage system, number two, waste disposal system as well. How often do we see waste disposal systems? For example, you go through a street, maybe not an estate, a street, and then you just see waste bins all around. So what happens? You see these waste bins, they are littered. What happens after then? Are there measures to ensure that all waste bins from a particular street is properly carried away and incinerated, or a proper way of disposing those wastes? So you see that. I think SEMA and NEMA has a lot to do in the case of Bauchi State in terms of proper waste disposal, proper waste awareness, and information needs to be given out as regards to prevent flood, not just in Bauchi but in other states as well.
All right, we know that in other climes, even waste are turned, recycled, and used for the good of the communities themselves. Waste is not usually that wasted. It's recycled. All right, that's a very sad commentary there, but we hope the relevant agencies, like Queen has pointed out, will do the needful to ensure that waste are properly, disposed or recycled for use for other things of benefit to the people. All right, we've got other very interesting talking points playing out. We are told that the federal government has arraigned vessels and 23 alleged crude oil thieves for economic sabotage. That's one of the very interesting talking points we have this morning, that the federal government has arraigned a vessel. It's called MT Kli, and 23 suspect oil bunkers from the Abuja Federal High Court over alleged economic sabotage. In the case, they were said to have, on the same day, conspired among themselves and siphoned about 119,000 liters of crude oil without appropriate license, contrary to Section 1A of the Offences Act 2004, and punishable under Section 7, subsection 17. Already we know that the federal government, through the Attorney General of the Federation, further accused the defendants of turning off the automatic identification system in order to avoid detection by the Nigerian Navy. That's this obvious that they had the intent to siphon without being caught, turning off the signal for the Nigerian Navy not to catch them. But we're talking about vessels. They're not cars that can easily just pass without being noticed. Let's agree that they turned off that signal that the Nigerian Navy would have spotted. But when the vessel, because we know that the Nigerian Navy normally has a station on sea where they monitor movement, is it possible the vessel passed? We're not talking about a little vessel, a big vessel will pass and they were not seen physically.
Well,
because there's been some accusations against the Nigerian Navy of conspiring to allow these things happen because they get their own kickbacks.
Yeah, but something as big as a vessel, you begin to wonder how. It's not a motorcycle. And
it makes there's this sound that goes with it.
Yes, so it's from all logical angles, it only looks like, how is this possible that, or else the Nigerian Navy, the people who are stationed to be at certain points in the seas are not doing their due diligence, are not, they were not necessarily asleep. Not necessarily asleep, maybe, but yes, if you have a duty station or a duty point at the sea, how would a vessel of that magnitude, we're not talking about a motorcycle or a bicycle,
or even a speedboat, or even goes so fast,
so how is, there are possible traces of saboteurs.
All right, we're hoping that now they've been arraigned, the right thing will be done, and those who did not catch them physically, so to say, would be prosecuted alongside for conspiracy and abetting crime. So that's one of the talking points there, and that's good news. Then it has to do with the FCT, where Wike says they park and pay. For those who have cars, whenever you drive into a shopping mall or any market, once you park, they ask you to pay certain money. They tell you 30 minutes is 200 naira, 1 hour is...
Very ridiculous.
And now it's been happening for years, and at a point, when Wike took over, they said it was a Wike's idea, but thank God he has come out to say, to debunk it, to say it's illegal. So the question is, who has been collecting these monies? And the nice thing is that you see them dressed in uniforms, and they're so authoritative. At a point, we notice even some security operatives, the Nigerian police force and some military men, go along with them to come harass the motorists who seem to know their rights and want to object to. So,
yeah, such systems.
Yeah, so I think it's a good one, but let's see if the FCT minister would enforce it and ensure that this...
It comes to a stop. I think not just with the FCT, but in other states as well. In Lagos, we see that from the few cities that I have visited, I have been to, we see that system a lot. So it's become a sort of norm, a national system where people, it's a tout system where people enforce and ensure and even harass commuters or motorists who, have to park. You can imagine going to, but, in their defense, these monies, because I've once asked how, it goes to, not necessarily the government, it goes to maintaining the market and the security of the market. But mind you, people who have shops in this market pay certain levies, pay for security as well. So why am I who is coming to buy, or who is coming to, why do I have to pay for security, pay for, when shop owners already have that covered in their budget or their levies, and some of the levies they pay. So it's just another means for them to, have a new extort from Nigerians. But I think that the effort by the FCT minister to ensure that this system is brought to a stop is a good one, and the debunking is as well is good, so that we know and we see that this system, this park and pay scheme is illegal. And I wish that it can cut across all states as well.
I think it depends on that state. If that state says it's what they want as a way of generating revenue,
I don't think nobody has come out. I don't think people have come out or authorities have come out in other states to categorically say that this is legal, and we've not even heard from them say it is illegal. So let's have that discussion. Let's have it in other states. Let's have authorities, government officials come out to say that this park and pay scheme here in this state is not, because we can't seem to place a hold on where it is coming from. But I know, as far as I know, it's been long coming. It's been a system that's been in place for decades now.
I hope so. Okay. I hope the FCT minister, aside just pronouncing it, will take action. We know he's an action man, so let's see the action play out. Just behind us here, this plaza behind us, I noticed for like 2 weeks now, when cars pass through the plaza, because it's an exit to the other side of town, they will ask you to pay the motor. You see so a tiny rope, and I actually, when did this start? This is just extortion. This is being unfair to your fellow Nigerian, because you see your route is a gateway. You don't decide, oh, it's a way of making money, and I think it's very unfair.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
All right, we got the belly down there. The middle belt seems to be crying, and I know the lady in red is. You've had breakfast, but
I've not had breakfast.
All right, so there's something cooking?
Taste and texture. Let's see. Something nice. Let's see what Annabelle Chong has put together for us for breakfast. But let me ask you, before we look at what Annabelle, because Annabelle is in the culture of having something sumptuous for breakfast. Let me know what your regulars for breakfast, because I know I've had this conversation with Michael Edikan time and time again, and he has always emphasized and reiterated that akpu, something heavy has to go for. But you look like someone that would have something heavy.
It depends.
Tell me.
I think breakfast depends on my mood. At days you wake up and you feel like eating what Edikan Michael has said, heavy, because of the task ahead. At times you wake up and you just feel like, something like snails fries.
For breakfast?
Yes, I love meat a lot, so I could eat meat all day. So it just depends on my mood. At times you wake up and it's like cereals all through. You just feel like doing cereals all through. At times you wake up and especially when there's so much stuff in the bank, you wake up
and then
and you don't feel like
your pocket. What you should say is that your pocket actually determines
at times,
what you have for breakfast.
When there's so much in the pocket, you feel
there's a confusion.
Yeah, you're not hungry. I think the joy.
True, that's a theory that I think works. You know, if you've noticed, whenever you have money, you don't seem to have appetite for the things that you would normally. But when you do not have money,
everything outside,
you're craving everything. So let's look at what.
I think Annabelle is still trying to set it up for us. What she says is not ready yet.
Okay.
But I think we've got some business news. Let's mix business with these top stories we've shared with you already this morning. Then when we return, hopefully we have some other very interesting talking points for you. Because there's still crisis in rivers. And like they say, when it rains in Spain, it pours. But in rivers, only God knows what happens.
Hello and welcome to Business Report. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reported a significant increase in remittance inflow, reaching $553 million in July 2024, a 130% increase from the corresponding period in 2023. This figure represents the highest monthly total inflow on record and reflects ongoing efforts by the CBN to enhance liquidity in the Nigerian foreign exchange market. The substantial growth in the remittance receipt is attributable to policy measures introduced by the CBN to enhance liquidity in the Nigerian foreign exchange market. These measures include granting licenses to new international money transfer operators, IMTOs, willing seller model, and enabling timely access to Naira liquidity for IMTOs. Diaspora remittance are a crucial source of foreign exchange for Nigeria, supplementing both foreign direct investment and portfolio investment. The CBN's initiative has supported continued growth in this inflow, aligning with the institution's objective of doubling formal remittance received within a year. The increase in remittance is a strong testament to the success of CBN's ongoing efforts to bolster public confidence in the foreign exchange market, strengthen a robust and inclusive banking system, and promote price stability, which is essential for sustained economic growth. Recent data from the National Bureau of Statistics reveals that Nigeria's year-on-year headline inflation rate slowed in July 2024 for the first time in 19 months, a clear indication that CBN monetary policy tightening measures are delivering results. The CBN anticipates that these measures will contribute to achieve its broader objective of maintaining stability in the foreign exchange market. The bank says it will continue to monitor market conditions and adjust policies as necessary to enable greater remittance flow in. The Nigerian currency lingered at 1,600 naira to $1 in the black market on Wednesday morning, despite improved market fundamentals in the country's FX market and the dollar index trading near its 7-month low. Naira short sellers remain unfazed despite the federal government's recent domestic introduction of dollar bond to increase liquidity in the nation's foreign exchange markets. NAFEX data also shows that the local currency closed flat at 1,579 naira to $1. The naira is under pressure despite improved market fundamentals. According to the CBN, remittance from the diaspora rose by 130% annually to $553 million in July 2024, compared to the same month in 2023. The CBN inconsistent FX distribution to Bureau de Change operators has partly been blamed by foreign exchange traders for Naira ongoing decline and volatility of the foreign currency markets. The dollar appreciated slightly in the early European trade on Wednesday, even though the minute from the most recent Federal Reserve minutes and anticipated changes to payroll statistics are expected to signal an interest rate decrease in September However, it remains very close to 7-month low. The dollar index lost over 200 basis points over the past month due to significant pressure from U.S. bond yielding falling to level not seen in the more than a year, which fueled concern about a recession driven by unexpectedly weak monthly job statistics. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited incurred a total of 2.69 trillion naira as tax in the full year of 2023. This is according to the company's financial statement for the full year 2023 published on its website. However, total taxes paid by NNPCL in 2023 was 1.17 trillion naira, comprising 0.26 billion naira income and royalties amounting to 669.09 billion naira, as stated in its cash flow report. The NNPCL tax expense in 2023 contrasts with the preceding year. In 2022, the company received a tax credit of 717.07 billion naira. It could be recalled that last year the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative (NEITI) accused the NNPCL of not remitting up to 2.8 trillion naira in taxes to the Federation. According to NEITI reports, the NNPCL also failed to pay about 4 trillion naira to the federal government. The report further reveals that as of July 31st, 2023, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission had outstanding tax collectible revenue totaling $8.251 billion, a figure accurate as of December 31, 2022. Notably, over 80% of this substantial amount is attributed to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, emphasizing the significant responsibility resting on this entity. However, the NNPCL, in a statement by its corporate communication officer, Olufemi Shoneye, clarified that it was not withholding any public fund and explained that what NEITI reported as non-remittance represented the payment owed by the company for shouldering the fuel subsidy burden on behalf of the federal government. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
All right, welcome back from that business update. Now you're well informed as regards all the big happenings in the world of business. So when you go out this morning to transact some business, you know the right calls to make and the statistics to look out for in ensuring that you strike a very productive deal. All right, it's now time for us to flip into the papers. Before then, we had given you some highlights of some top stories, but now we're getting into the paper review segment, and that will be after this very quick break, where the montage will signal the entrance of the paper review segment. But Queen, let's from all the business news we got. Have you ever thought about getting into business as a CEO? And what areas would you like to try your hands on?
Not to say have I ever thought of. I'm in business.
Oh boy.
But I must tell you that the end goal is to become maybe a renowned CEO, not maybe, a renowned CEO, and an employer of labor. So yes, just a little bit of my craft, what I do. But I can tell you that I feel the pain of every entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yes, because of the high rate of the cost of production.
Okay.
Materials for production, electricity, everything that you can think of. So as a startup, for me as a startup, in my little corner in my room where I do my thing, I know how the cost implications, how much more someone who has to foot the bills of a shop, people who have shops, people who deal with perishables, people who have people that they pay, and all of that, and then sales, having to deal with sales, marketing, and all of that. So, and sometimes the policies may not be favorable,
The policies from government?
Yes,
okay.
government policies may not be favorable. And 1 minute, the dollar rate is like this, and the next second it has skyrocketed. And people who even have to do, whose businesses, because literally everybody's business has a way, something to do with the dollar. You know, so you hear some people say, why is Gary expensive? The dollar does not affect Gary, but the dollar affects transportation. Fuel. Okay. Let's not even talk about the increase in fuel, the long queues that has been ongoing for weeks now, and then people. So you can imagine it cuts across everything. Even if you're selling palm oil, and you say, what has the dollar got to do with palm oil?
But there's this part entrepreneurs don't say. This part where there's also, you're already smiling.
No, let me know the part you're talking about.
The part where there's this extra amount you put under the, not the pretext, but under the fact that, okay, cost of production or cost of getting things.
Anthony, I tell you,
no benefits. Those positives where that extra
I tell you for a truth,
comes in.
It looks glossy out there. When you're out there, it looks like, oh, and so you're a CEO. You know, a lot of people just say you're a CEO, you manage your business. There are benefits, Anthony, but these days, if you're privileged, if you have the time, get into the market, get into spaces where you have entrepreneurs who are doing business, and find out for yourself what it is that they're going through. I tell you, it's not easy.
Yeah, we agreed it's difficult, no doubt. What I'm saying, at the times where there's a boom, some to say, because right now, like some survey in Anambra, Enugu, and some southeast states, it's been said that the food prices have dropped in a survey. So at times, but for those who have probably bought ahead of time, now the prices have dropped and they're still maintaining that same high price. When it comes to benefit, they don't come out to announce the benefits, but they cry a lot. So I feel like there's this unfair strategy where when it comes to the pain.
But not everybody is in that line of business. Take for instance storage. Not everybody is in the storage business. And even if they buy at a cheaper, it's quite to their advantage. But the cost they gain, when you take that money that you have made from selling at the same rate, once you go back, you cannot even restock at the rate you bought it earlier because things have so the continuity is difficult. You might make that money one time or because of how much you stored or you have kept it over time. But going back to purchase again.
Okay. All right.
And then not everybody's in the line of business that is like storage business.
And there's some businesses where you don't necessarily buy things often.
Yes, you don't necessarily buy things often. But quite frankly, there are benefits, but not as you think, because every entrepreneur right now in Nigeria is going through one form of crisis or the other. I tell you for a fact.
All right, let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be going full blast with all the headlines in the papers, what they're saying this morning. Stay with us. All right, Queen Agaba cracking us up here.
But
even Sebastian is chuckling behind the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know that there's something about younger brothers who
have fine sisters.
Who have fine sisters, But I think it's just innate in the younger brothers, whether you have an elder sister or not, to just man up and be like the man of the house. I take, for example, my younger brother. I was just telling you, a while ago about my brother Oche, who happens to be my immediate younger brother, but he's like my elder brother because...
Don't put the big guy down.
who happens to be like my, you know, my immediate. I don't have an elder brother, but he has just become an elder brother. I sometimes I look at him and look like, hello, do you know that I'm your older sister? Because of how much, you know, he's taking responsibility and, you know, how much, you know, I don't know, he's just become a father figure. Sometimes he calls me like my daddy. He calls me, I'm like, you need to understand that I'm your big sister. But let me know, because you have 2 boys. And then do you see them?
Make it a 3.
Oh, 3. Do you see them? Do you see them?
The producer is saying the papers are waiting.
Anthony, but you have to answer this question. Do you see them? I want to know, because even from younger ages, you see children from 3-year-olds, you know, trying to, you know, hold mommy accountable, trying to be a father figure. From that little age, I just want to know if the truth it comes with.
When you have kids, there's certain, for all the kids, you see different traits in all of them. And amongst the 3, the guy in the middle of the park, he's the one that looks like the soldier. he's the one that acts tough. He's the one, he'll tell you he's the best in the world. He talks in billions and in dollars. And yesterday he showed me, he normally put this on YouTube, cartoons he does. And he told me he had 600 views yesterday and all that stuff.
That's interesting. So you just see them from that early stage
already taking. Why the first guy is extremely quiet, but upstairs he's always close to the mom, like as usual. The first is always for the mom. So most times men naturally like taking responsibility. So that's why it's sad when you see women who would beat down their husbands or partners that he didn't bring money back home. It's unusual. Every man steps out. The joy of every man is when you're coming back with a lot of things.
Be able to provide.
Yeah, you're so happy to come back because you want to share with your family. So when any man you see coming back and sad, it's because probably he's come back home.
And he's not able to do due diligence.
So it's very unusual. You can never say a man that doesn't like, you know, playing that role. So I think that's one thing women always miss out. Nobody goes out there and would not want to succeed. You must be highly stupid. Pardon my term, but very unusual. It's not natural for a man to go out and not want to succeed. You know, it's something given by God. So it's
primarily. We'll come back to this conversation, Anthony. But for now, let's go to our crime papers.
Okay, so we begin with the punchy headlines from the Punch newspapers. We've got the big first story we're looking at there. On page 19, it says, Dangote Refinery reduces crude imports from the U.S. That should be a positive one. It means Nigerian NNPCL is beginning to, hopefully, supply Dangote. So page 19 is where you get the details of that big story. We've got on page 19 also, government plans fresh $100 billion investment is the headline story there. Another punchy headline says federal government hikes passport fare fees to 50,000 and 100,000 naira. Federal government hikes passport fees to 50,000 and 100,000 naira. Quite disturbing. It was supposed to be easy for Nigerians to get, but when it gets that high, I wonder how Nigerians are going to get. We've got other headlines from the Punch newspaper. PDP chair and Wike tackle Clark as anti-Fubara plot thickens. PDP chair and Wike tackle Clark as anti-Fubara plot thickens. Is the headline story there. Then we've got Togo, Benin owe Nigeria $14 million for electricity, says NEC. Togo and Benin owe Nigeria $14 million for electricity, says NEC. And page 19 is where you get our story. We've got e-hailing drivers reject a fare slash, threaten strike. E-hailing drivers reject fare slash, threaten strike. Then the last headline story there, we've got federal government working to avert impending ASU strike, says ministry. And of course, the picture story you see there on the Punch newspaper has to do with the coordinator, National Defense College, Wives Association, Mrs. Rhoda Olutu. And we've got a senior Senator Benga Daniel also there the picture story on the Punch newspaper. All right, for those stories, which of them catches your attention? Okay, for me, I think the federal government hiking passport fees to 50,000 and 100,000 is, I would like to, I hope we can get an explanation why
yeah.
hiking, we're already crying of hiking electricity, fuel, now passports. And these are passports as a very important document every citizen should have. And when you make it that expensive, are they trying to technically stop the jackpot syndrome? So they think when you make it higher, people would not travel. I don't think that's the case. Because
I don't think
pay a lot
for having to travel.
And this is not what Olutunji Ojo, the Minister of Interior, promised Nigerians. He said it was going to be easier, cheaper, and more affordable. And so to making it 50,000 and 100,000, that's people's salary. That's I think
that's
it's
not. That's enormous. I'm particularly pained because I'm at the point of
trying to go through that process,
and now I'm seeing that it's been increased. I'm not trying to jump up, but I just have them for official purposes, and I think that sometimes you don't know when. How it pinches, how it pains until a particular policy, a particular decision by the government, begins to affect you or disrupt your plans or your agenda. But I think that I want to believe that this is not the best way to stop people from relocating or stop people from. I mean, why is the cost of passports increasing from 50,000 naira to 100,000 naira? Make it make sense. I want to see the details of this story on the papers much later.
Now they're increasing to 50,000. Why another category is 100,000? So the list is 50,000. The other 100,000. I think it's not really fair because this will make it more difficult for Nigerians to own their own passport, which is something they have as a right to have.
Let's look at what the nation has
in store
for us.
Before we go to the nation, looking at Togo and Benin Republic owing Nigeria $40 million. And I'm asking,
what business, what deal?
Why should they owe us $14 million? And why should we still keep giving them electricity when they're owing us that huge amount of money? Because with that money, they could bring it back into the Nigerian system. It would do a whole lot and help the power sector provide more electricity for us.
Nigeria. Sometimes it could be because of public international relations. You don't want to cut ties abruptly like that. Or it could be pleas and promises that this money would be paid in due time. I mean, we also owe other countries. We're in debt. In fact, we're more indebted than Togo and Benin Republic. So, but you can imagine us giving out electricity when we still have
we don't have enough.
We still have issues with tariffs, we still have issues with constant electricity. But so far, so good. I think that the electricity is beginning to, I can guarantee, I think 20 hours of power supply from my end. Yes, I don't know which band I fall under.
Band A consumers.
But then the tariff is high. And let's look at the Nation newspaper. Big story here says, why appeal court dismissed Edo Assembly. Edo Assembly's appeal against Shaibu's reinstatement, while appeal court dismissed Edo Assembly's appeal against Shaibu's reinstatement. Fresh inflow triples foreign investors' portfolios to 598 billion naira. We're looking at the Nation newspaper. Scheme to eliminate trade bottlenecks rolls out. We also have 220 illegal refineries found in 1 week. Vandalized pipelines also, 220 illegal refineries have been discovered in 1 week. I mean, I'll get back to that story, but let's look at why airports are performing below capacity by FAN. And then we have Minister, plans for National Youth Dialogue. And then we also have passport fees rise to 100,000 naira and 50,000 naira respectively. Plot to remove Damagu deepens PDP crisis. Anthony, let's look at the 220, I beg your pardon, illegal refineries that was found in 1 week, and vandalized pipelines also. I see that you chuckled while I was reading.
It sounds more like they always knew where these 220 illegal refineries were operating. It feels more like, okay, some persons refuse to play ball again, so we had to just expose it. It feels more like a PR stunt. 220 in 1 week. If you could find 220 in 1 week for a whole year, I think there should be non-existence of illegal refineries.
And then the question should be, what happens now that you discover 220? Who are people that are going to be facing the wrath of the law?
Were they arrested?
Yes. Exactly. We want to hear names. We want to see details, actions taken.
They just say found. Let's hear prosecuted and jailed. I think that will make
And there are big
sense.
names, big shots who are behind a lot of these refineries. So let's have their names out. We don't want to just hear that the refineries were discovered. I mean, they were never hidden.
And when we say illegal, is it illegal because they don't have licenses to operate? Is it illegal because they're modular refineries? What makes them illegal?
From one of the riders here, it could be many of what you've just mentioned. It could be because they don't have licenses, and also because of what they do. But vandalized pipelines were also discovered. So these people could as well be some of the saboteurs of our pipelines and our refineries as well. So
okay, because there were times when the Navy did find some of these modular refineries, and the question was, rather than take these persons out of the equation completely, why don't we try to improve the modular refineries, bring them together under an umbrella, and so that the activities will be well coordinated, they go through the right processes, then they don't lose their jobs. So that, because when you take these people out of equation completely, they turn out to become nuisance to the system. Rather, let's give them the right environment to operate on and cash in on the positives from the work they're already doing. So it remains to be seen. This scheme eliminates trade bottlenecks rollout. It's for me, it's too vague. It's not specific, and which sector and what's the name of the scheme, because it goes to remind me of ease of doing business, which the Goodluck Jonathan administration kickstarted with. So let's probably, if you take to page 4 of the Nation's newspaper, you get to find out details of that. Then why airports are performing below capacity by FAAN. The aviation industry is never-ending story. From one minister to the other, there's always a reason for FAAN to give us excuses why they're not performing and all that. So page 7 is where you find that story. Then we've got the fresh inflow triples foreign investors portfolio to 598 billion. This is very interesting. At some point you hear investors are leaving. Sometimes you hear the reverse of the case. So grab a copy of the Nation's newspaper and hopefully you get details of that. Yeah. We've got other stories to look out. I think we've got the Daily Trust. Yeah, we've got the Daily Trust next for review. It says a Kanu Anti-Graft Agency probes a 660 million fresh water contract scam. It's a big story coming from Kanu State. We've got federal government targets $100 billion investment and 2 million jobs from creative economy. It's the big story coming out from the Daily Trust this morning. New Northern Group to meet leaders over region's problem. New Northern Group to meet leaders over region's problems is one of the headline stories there. Then we see airstrikes killed 5 Boko Haram commanders in Borno, says NAF. And terrorists slay many miners in Niger. 3 soldiers and 15 bandits die in Plateau raid. Very sad commentary there. Other headline story from the Daily Trust says PDP crisis is the rider. If I open up, it won't be pleasant. Damagu speaks. If I open up, it won't be pleasant. Damagu speaks. Please open up. Don't turn off the mic. Let's hear what's happening. We've got Ribadu and El Rufai Ribadu, El-Rufai, and Tambuwal meet at Atiku's residence in Abuja. That's very interesting. Ribadu, are they talking about Ribadu, Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor? El-Rufai, Tambuwal meet at Atiku's residence in Abuja. Interesting story. Page 4 is where you find details of that story from the Daily Trust. All right, we've got federal government hikes passport fares or fees. And why is this? You can only find details on page, I think that's page 6 of the Daily Trust. Federal government hikes passport fees is the big headline story there. Abducted Sokoto district head dies in captivity. Very sad commentary. So those are the headline stories from the Daily Trust this morning. And we've got a picture story there, shows from right to left, former Vice President and PDP candidate in the 2023 election, Atiku Abubakar, and the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasru El-Rufai, and the former Comptroller General of the Customs, Alhaji Ahmed Aliyu Mustafa, and National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu during the visit of representatives of the family of the Kashim family to ask for the hand of Atiku's daughters, Hafsat, in marriage. This is an interesting meeting. All right, so those are some of the headline stories that are making the rounds. Any story of interest to you, Quaid?
Yeah, quite a lot of number of stories that are of interest to me that really caught my fancy from the Daily Trust newspaper. One of them would be the big story where we have airstrikes killed 5 Boko Haram commanders in Borno State, according to the Nigerian Air Force. Nigerian Air Force. And then the rider says terrorists slay many miners in Niger. That's sad. And 3 soldiers, 15 bandits die in Plateau raid. We like that the Nigerian military are doing all they can to ensure that, you know, bandits are put where they belong, they're arrested, they're apprehended, and they are taken out. But we do not talk about the lives of the military personnel who enter into battles with these bandits. And some of them lose their lives in the process. So while we record that 5 Boko Haram commanders have been apprehended or have been killed, you know, in gun battles and all of that, not so much is said about, we celebrate, which is of course good, but not so much is said about the people who enter into this gun battle, the personnel, the soldiers who enter into these gun battles with these people. Of course, we know most times if this is a comprehensive report, most times that side of the report is not really down. Yes, it's played down, absolutely. So I think the other time we saw a video of, you know, one of the soldiers talking about how these terrorists and bandits have sophisticated equipment that are not even, you can't compare with the ones that the Nigerian army have, what the Nigerian police have. So while you can say that, 5 Boko Haram members or 5 Boko Haram commanders were killed, what happened to, you know, so and so number of soldiers who entered into that gun battle with them? So I think we must applaud them, quite frankly. And let's continue. We hope that we continue to see stories like this where these people are apprehended until we can completely say that, you know, we have eradicated banditry and their hideouts in the north or in Nigeria in particular. But my emphasis would be to the personnel, their welfare, the sophistication of their weapons, I beg your pardon. Let them not enter into battle knowing that it's already a field battle, because the equipment that they have, or the weapons that they have, if I'm not mistaken, is nothing compared to what the people who they're going into battle with, the bandits and the terrorists, have. So let's ensure that, you know, they are well equipped for that battle and their families are well taken care of when remunerated. All right,
quite a sad story commentary, because Bello Matawalle, the Minister of Defense, State, last week did say the Nigerian military industry corporation that produces weapons producing top-notch weapons that African countries are coming to buy, and you're asking the questions. If African countries are coming to buy, how come military officers are complaining
about weapons?
Yeah, about weapons and all that. We just hope the right things will be done, and we, like you rightly pointed out, we celebrate our armed forces for paying the supreme price every time they go out there to defend us and try to, end banditry and terrorism in the country. All right, we've got The Guardian next up for review. From The Guardian comes the headline story, Echoes of Cabinet Reshuffle, Trill Minister's Performance a Year After, is the big headline story there on page 6 of The Guardian. Echoes of Cabinet Reshuffle, Trill Minister's Performance a Year After. On page 6 is where you get that from The Guardian newspaper. Nigeria to begin revocation of dormant oil wells licenses is one of the headline stories. And from the judiciary comes stakeholders set agenda for Kekerekun, new CJN. Stakeholders set agenda for Kekerekun, a new CJN is the headline story. Then Wike Damagun defend standpoints as PDP and Rivers crisis fester is the headline story there. We've got Arabami alleges plot by Ajero to spark civil unrest. All right, this disturbing Arabami alleges plot by Ajero to spark civil unrest. Page 3 is where you get that story. Tough times ahead, our subsidy shaves 7.7 trillion naira off FAC allocations. All right, this subsidy is eating into everything in sight. Tinubu has mortgaged Nigeria's future to families, friends, says Atiku. Tinubu has mortgaged Nigeria's future to family and friends, says Atiku. Very worrisome headline stories from The Guardian. All right, I think Arabambi alleges a plot by Ajero to spark civil unrest is a disturbing headline story, and we've got a stakeholder set agenda for Kekerekun, the new CJN. Well, I think those are the headline stories from The Guardian.
Yes, from The Guardian, those are the stories. But it's time for us to take the global AM news for you. But I'm looking at if we can take other stories. I don't know what was, just briefly, what was your highlight
from The Guardian? I think the allegation against Ajero to spark civil unrest seems too deep and too forceful. Initially, it was said it was a terrorism financing. Now it's they're alleging he wants to spark civil unrest, probably because the employees of the telecommunications and electricity employees are saying they would shut down National Grid and other telecommunications infrastructure if he's arrested. Well, that seemed a very disturbing, back and forth between the NLC and the federal government. And this tough times ahead, our subsidy shaves 7.7 trillion naira of FAC allocations is disturbing. This subsidy, it's neither here or there. 1 minute they say there's no subsidy, next minute there's subsidy, and it's eating a whole lot. Then Wike's issue, it's never an ending story. Very disturbing headlines from The Guardian this morning. I think we have to go for a quick break so that we take the global AM news, and when we return, hopefully we have the Vanguard and other interesting package just to make your morning truly amazing. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Annamel Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momodu.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat with its parameters showing on your screen. The federal government has inaugurated the power sector communications team in a bid to enhance transparency and communication within the power sector. This was disclosed in a statement by the chairman of the team, Bolaji Tunji. The inauguration ceremony was presided over by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, who emphasized the importance of effective communication in addressing the sector's challenges. Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for strengthened cooperation between Nigeria and Tanzania in shared aspirations for continental growth and unity. The Vice President stated these when he received former Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Shettima said this has become necessary since Nigeria shares historic ties with Tanzania, particularly in their roles as frontline states in the fight against apartheid and colonialism. The Vice President said it is important to foster stronger economic and social ties between the two nations, especially within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. In a significant move to strengthen its internal mechanisms, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has inaugurated a disciplinary committee that will address misconduct and indiscipline in the party. Speaking at the inauguration of the party's reconciliation and disciplinary committees in Abuja, the party acting chairman, Omar Damagun, warned members to stop speaking ill of the party. The Reconciliation Committee will be chaired by the former governor of Osun State, Chief Olugunsoye Onyola. A group of former agitators from the Niger Delta has condemned the calls for the impeachment of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, describing them as a plot against prominent politicians from the southern region of Nigeria. The group, operating under the banner of the Niger Delta Ex-Agitators Forum, also advocated for the creation of South-South Development Commission, separate from the Niger Delta Development Commission. Speaking at a press conference in Port Harcourt, chairman of the forum, Alban Polinos, said the group is aware of efforts by some individuals to change the leadership of the National Assembly, which they will collectively resist. The Nigerian Air Force says airstrikes from its fighter jets have either killed or severely injured 5 terrorist commanders and 35 fighters in Borno State. The terrorists were bombed during operations in the Arena area located in the southern Tumbons of the state. The affected terrorist commanders, according to a statement by the NAF spokesperson, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gabwet, are Munia Arika, Sani Dila, Amir Modu, Dan Fulani, Fari, Bakura, Arena Chiki. Kano State Police Command has confirmed that it has recorded a significant breakthrough in its efforts to combat crime in the state. This is in compliance with the directives of the Inspector General of Police towards ensuring round-the-clock visibility patrols, following a series of raids on criminal hideouts and black spots in areas of public outcry within Kano metropolis. The command arrested 41 suspects and recovered dangerous weapons and intoxicating drugs, with the investigation ongoing. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, Bauchi State Office, has begun a 3-day exercise in Bauchi markets to mop up fake Milo chocolate drinks in circulation. NAFDAC State Director Dr. Paul Kamai made this known in Bauchi, where he noted that the agency's office began the inspections in markets and superstores to get rid of fake Milo in circulation following directives from the headquarters. He further called on small and medium enterprises to register their products with NAFDAC to assimilate their products into Nigerian markets. Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara has lauded the convener of the Change Makers International Initiative, Dr. William Kumuyi, for the success of the maiden edition of the program. Fubara gave the commendation while speaking at the grand finale of the 5-day conference held in Port Harcourt. The governor described the conference with the theme, Driving Positive Change and Social Impact, as significant and commendable. The 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, says Nigerians deserve to know the cost and age of the new presidential jet and the years it has been in operation. In a series of posts via his official X handle, Obi said Nigerians deserve to know how the old jets are disposed of and why they are being sold. Obi emphasized that the federal government's provision of adequate information about its leadership to the people, stating that transparency and accountability should be the hallmark of any genuine leadership. The United States says it is working with Nigeria to design the best framework for applying artificial intelligence in military operations. Mallory Stewart, the Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Arms Control, Deterrence and Stability at the U.S. Department of State, disclosed this during a roundtable session with journalists in Abuja. While in Nigeria, she met with representatives from the Economic Community of West African States, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Defense, civil society, and the National Security Advisor. The Federal Ministry of Youth Development has announced its plan to launch a nationwide National Youth Dialogue Initiative. This comprehensive program aims to foster open communication, collaboration, and inclusive participation among young Nigerians. The Minister of State Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, made this known at a youth conference in Abuja at the inauguration of the National Dialogue Program scheduled to hold in September 2024. You're watching News Prime. I beg your pardon, you're watching AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital. When AM News returns, United Kingdom opens portal to recruit Nigerians from British Army. Details of these and more after this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Orji Ogbonnaya Orji, has pointed out that Nigeria would require huge investments in the coming years for it to meet its energy transition targets. Dr. Orji, who spoke in Abuja when received the Ambassador of Belgium, Peter Lekenkant, and the High Commissioner of Australia, Leilani bin Judah, and the High Commissioner of Canada, Jamie Christophe, said with Nigeria's economic still largely reliant on oil and gas industry, the question of what becomes of its huge hydrocarbon deposit needs to be resolved. He therefore noted with the federal government's decision to use natural gas as a transition fuel, about $20 billion annual investment were needed in the next 10 years to develop gas infrastructure. Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike has declared the Park and Pay scheme in the nation's capital as illegal. Wike made the declaration during a live media parley with select journalists in Abuja. The interactive session was put together to mark his 1 year in office. Wike said a call from a senior advocate brought to light a scheme that has been siphoning government funds under the guise of legal operation. The management of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has issued an operational license to Edo Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited, Ologbo, in Ikpo-Bahar local government area of Edo State. The agency is the technical and commercial regulator of midstream and downstream operations in the petroleum industry, with its issuance of operational license being the final stage of approval from the regulatory authority that would make the plant operate as a refinery. In business, the federal government has imposed 555 million naira fine on Fidelity Bank for breach of citizens' data in the course of providing services to them. The National Commissioner of the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, made this known at a validation forum on the Nigerian Data Protection Act General Application and Implementation Directive in Abuja. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has supplied premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, to the Port Harcourt and Warri depot as it strives to tackle lingering fuel queues weakness nationwide. Oil marketers confirmed that the national oil firm deployed daughter vessels that moved petrol to the depots in Rivers and Delta states to decongest the trucks that besiege the Apapa depot in Lagos daily for petrol. It was reported that many tankers were currently at various depots in Lagos waiting to load petrol for onward delivery to states across the country as the scarcity of the product worsens. Lack of consistency in dollar allocation told the Bureau of the Exchange operators by the Central Bank of Nigeria is stampeding naira recovery currency traders have submitted. They equally noted that the lack of continuity or frequency of the exercise gives rise to a loss of confidence in the forex market by the customers, thereby putting pressure on the parallel market. The Bureau de Change operators had advocated for the intervention by the CBN in the retail end of the market to be at least once or twice a week. The CBN on July 18, 2024 approved the sales of $20,000 to Bureau de Change operators at the rate of 1,450 naira to $1 as part of efforts to address forex scarcity, especially at the retail end of the market, and strengthen the naira. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has transferred regulatory oversight of the electricity market in Edo State to the Edo State Electricity Regulatory Commission. This decision was made in compliance with the amended Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Electricity Act 2023. The Commission says it retains the role as a central regulator with the regulatory oversight on the interstate and international generation, transmission, supply, trading, and system operations. The federal government says there is a need for data to guide operations in the housing sector, noting that only 5.6 million out of the 80 million workers are currently contributing to the National Housing Fund. Shehu Usman Osidi, the managing director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, stated this in Abuja at the inauguration of a joint steering committee for national housing data by the Minister of Housing, emphasizing the need for data in economic planning and growth of the housing sector. Osidi, who is a member of the steering committee, noted that only 5.6 million out of over 80 million working Nigerians contribute to the National Housing Fund, hence the need for a data center to ensure proper planning and also determine the aggregate contributions of the sector to the GDP. The British Army has announced a new recruitment drive targeting Nigerians and other Commonwealth citizens, inviting applications for various roles within its armed forces. The British Army specifically stated that interested candidates from Nigeria are sought for positions including musicians, Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, Royal Engineers, technicians, tradesmen, and paratroopers. The British military authorities emphasized the critical role of Commonwealth soldiers in its ranks and their continued importance within the organization. On the foreign scene, Barack Obama has told fellow Democrats in Chicago that the torch has been passed to Kamala Harris and that the United States was ready for her to become president. Former President Obama, who was greeted with rapturous applause and cheers at the packed arena hosting the party's nominating convention, said Vice President Harris would fight for Americans and called her November poll rival Donald Trump dangerous. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for a return of peace as he left for Ukraine, weeks after Kiev condemned him for hugging President Vladimir Putin during a visit to the traditional ally, Russia. Modi, 73, was scheduled to visit Poland before traveling on to Ukraine on Friday. The premier has trodden a delicate balance between maintaining India's historical warm ties with Russia while cutting close security partnerships with Western nations as a bulwark against a regional rival, China. His government has avoided explicit condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, instead urging both sides to resolve their differences through dialogue. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says his country's economic and trade links with China are yielding results as he welcomed Chinese Premier Li Qiang to the Kremlin. Moscow has looked to Beijing for an economic lifeline since the Ukraine conflict began, with the two boosting trade to record highs as Russia faces heavy economic sanctions from the West. In May, Putin visited his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing. The Russian leader framed the partnership as a stabilizing force in the chaotic world. The West has viewed both countries with increased anxiety over the past 2 years as they build ties and seek to exert their global influence abroad. And jumping into the world of sports, Conor Gallagher has completed a permanent transfer to Atletico Madrid. A statement from the club's website confirmed the transfer, noting that Conor joins the La Liga club after an 18-year association with Chelsea, which began at the age of 6, when he started on a training path with the club's academy that led to becoming a regular in the Premier League and on the international stage with England. Chelsea confirmed the signing of Portugal forward João Felix on a permanent transfer from Atletico Madrid shortly after England midfielder Conor Gallagher completed a move in the opposite direction. João Felix, aged 24, has signed a 7-year contract at Stamford Bridge as he returns to the club, where he made 20 appearances on loan in the 2022-2023 season. No transfer fee was revealed for the former Benfica star, who made 2 appearances for Portugal at the Euro 2024. But UK press reports earlier stated Chelsea had agreed to pay £40 million to Atletico. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Global AM News. I am Anthony Momodu. Good morning.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from the scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians, we are the Canaan, because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the decks. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the decks.
Get a shot in, squares it, into the back.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Get a shot in, squares it into the back.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
All right, welcome back from the Global AM News. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Morning. And it's time for us to hit our discuss button as we look at very salient issues making the rounds in Nigeria. Today we'll be focusing on the Goba Polls crisis rocking the country. As we know that some in the Supreme Court, as we'll be focusing, zeroing into the Kogi equation. That's what we'll be looking at today, discourse, and our guest is no other person but Abdul Wahab Yunusa Adebu, who is a Social Democratic Party stakeholder in Kogi State, to help us make sense of all the issues playing out in that very strategic state of Kogi State. We remember fully that recently the Supreme Court did reserve its judgment as regards the issue of both Ajaka and Silva challenging the declarations made by the Independent National Electoral Commission and on the outcome of the 2023 general elections in their respective states. So we're looking at keenly what to expect and what's the true position of things playing out. Good morning, Adebo. Nice to have you in the studios.
It's my pleasure.
But let's just give us a better picture as a stakeholder as regards what's playing out in Kogi State as regards this issue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tony, for having me today. Kogi State gubernatorial election crisis dated back to 11th of November 2023. After the election
During the election, we discovered that at some polling units, there were pre-filled result sheets.
Pre-filled?
Yes. Already filled result sheet before the election.
Even started.
Yes. So we drew the attention of INEC by way of writing to them immediately. And at that point, that was before 9 a.m.
Before 9 a.m.
On that day. And specifically from Ogorimagugo area at the central part of Kogi State. And INEC responded that they are going to look into it by suspending anything that has to do with election at that point, which we obliged them. But
was it a written?
Yes, there was a letter to that effect. Exactly, we have the letter with us.
Was it from the headquarters?
From the headquarters of INEC.
Okay.
Yes, from the headquarters of INEC. We sent people there.
So meaning that Professor Mahmood
was aware.
Was aware.
Yeah. You know, then towards the end of that day, we discovered that election was still going on at that particular point. You know, and then we discovered that at the central part, you see, most of the crises that started or that are happening now as a result of the election are majorly within the central part of the state. You know, there are about 5 local governments. You know, Kogi comprises of 21 local governments, 9 from the eastern flank, 7 from the west, and 5 from the central. So the 5 local government from the central, we discovered that where ballot stuffing, overvoting, pre-filled result sheets and so on. So that was how it went. And we kept protesting to INEC. And then still they went ahead to announce the result of the election.
Parties aside from the SDP witness this pre-filling of those forms?
It was on national television. It was not a hidden thing. It was on AIT, it was on channels. I wonder why you were not there. But however, we got all this right. Yet they went ahead to announce the result. And you see, as a law-abiding citizen or political party or an organization, we took our matter legally, according to the constitution of the land. You know, so we went to the tribunal, filed our case there. Everybody saw what happened at the tribunal. The tribunal chairman.
Yeah, because there were accusations that the tribunal chairman was biased and there were manipulations. When you say biased, what in specifics Nigerians would like to know?
Yes, what really happened during or after the tribunal, before the judgment of the tribunal? Yeah. We're all there, we saw everything. Beavers was displayed at the open court.
Okay.
Everything was seen by all the legal team of all the political parties representing various interests at the tribunal. You know, you have the legal team representing INEC, the legal team representing APC.
Everything was seen in the beaver. What was in the beavers that was seen? Want to be
yes, a typical example of it was at a polling unit where the beavers will register maybe about 200 voters.
Yes.
You come to compare it at the from EC8A, they will fill about 1,000 plus. Whereas what is on the beavers is 200. So the beavers and the IRF were all in tandem with our own report. You understand? What we claim that was in the beavers was what was in the IRF. You know, after the election, they tried to manipulate the IRF. They tried to change what was on the IRF. And you know, IRF work like your telephone. The moment you send an SMS, it goes with the time.
Oh.
You can't really reverse it. You understand? You can't manipulate it. So any attempt for them to change what is on the IRF, it will show the time and the date. So they were not able to manipulate it. So we proved our case according to the tribunal chairman. He said the case of overvoting was proven beyond every reasonable doubt. And then midway into the day of when they delivered the judgment, it was delayed. They excused themselves for about 30 minutes while judgment was going on. So it was at that point it came. And you see, let me tell you, my brother, the beavers machine can only be operated by someone that is trained to operate it.
Sure.
Just like your Android phone you have now. The officer sent from INEC to ventilate the beavers came, and those beavers were configured to his own face. The moment he looked at the beavers, it opens, and then he tries to bring out whatever that is there. All these were displays in the open court. At a point, the staff sent by INEC to come and ventilate the beavers at the open court, because of threat to his life, he declined to come and continue further.
Was it proved who threatened?
Exactly.
Was it proved that he was threatened?
Yes, he was threatened actually. Then the tribunal chairman or the tribunal have to subpoena INEC chairman to compel that engineer or the staff of INEC to come and finish what he started, which he did. Then at the end of the day, we were surprised that the chairman of the tribunal said the guy that was sent down by INEC by virtue of letter, he came with a letter with ID card, mode of identification and so on, was not known to them. That they were not even sure whether that guy was a staff of INEC. And then they went ahead to deliver the judgment the way they did. And we proceeded from there to the appeal court. But we know, the system of this country, we don't want to say Nigeria is the way they are. You continue to say that Nigeria is bad, Nigeria. No, we will never agree that Nigeria is bad. We will make Nigeria good. We will continue to make it good. Nothing came out of this appeal court. They upheld what the tribunal did. And the fight will continue to build up. From there, we proceeded to Supreme Court, where we are now. You understand? And the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, have looked at the case. All the parties have done their written submission, and the adoptions have been made, and the judgment reserved. So that's the point we are.
Okay. Yes, we were not supposed to delve into it since it's reserved. But do you think the reservation of that judgment was deliberate, or some say the former aviation minister Chidoka, who was on a TV program over the weekend, a weekend before preceding that reservation of that judgment, said a lot of things that probably got the judiciary worried, and that was why they couldn't come out with a judgment, a ruling. Rather, it was reserved. From that interview, what areas do you think got the judiciary and other stakeholders, cautious?
You see, to answer this question, I want you to look at it from this perspective. Nigerian problem, political problems, is born solely or mainly by INEC and the judiciary. Now, if you look at what the former minister displayed on that day, you will discover that the culprits, they know the culprits, they know those that perpetrate those acts. All the errors, all the manipulations, those that were responsible are known, because the polling units have names of the polling agents, of the polling returning officers, and so on, that were there. INEC will not punish anybody that is found wanting, as far as electoral offenders are concerned. And if that is not done, where injustice is harbored by the same people that are supposed to be impartial, you harbor injustice against those that know that they delivered lawfully the person they wanted, you can't see peace. On your question, why about the reserved judgment? On that day, I was in the courtroom at the Supreme Court, and what the chairman of the panel said was they had about 19 cases to do justice to on that day. This include that of Kogi and Bayelsa, all of them present in court. And you know, after they took Kogi on first. After their adoption, they said they've reserved the judgment. And of course, we have to give way for other people to come in, for them to continue on the 19 cases they had on that day. And I want to assure you very strongly that in no distant time, they will communicate the time of judgment and the date.
Okay, my question now is, are you confident in the judgment, after the reserved judgment of the appeal court?
Confident?
Are you confident of the Supreme Court? I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Are you confident that, you know, of the outcome of the judgment of the Supreme Court? And then the broader implications, what does this mean if the judgment is in favor of the SDP or the Usman Ododo's camp, APC? What are the further implications for elections, gubernatorial elections in Kogi State?
Any judgment from Supreme Court is law. It's a precedence. Once set, that's the end of it. We have come a long way from the tribunal to the appeal court, and now we are at the apex court, the highest court in the land, which is the Supreme Court. Whatever judgment that come out of Supreme Court is binding. You have nowhere to go after that time. But whatever they do from there is law. What are we talking about? The Bayelsa case was dismissed at the appeal court because they were not able to ventilate their issue by virtue of bringing the beavers to the open court to ventilate it. On that basis, you dismiss that. Kogi's matter, we came to court with the beavers. In fact, forensic evidence, everything was shown at the court. So what do you use to quash that? So we are now waiting for the Supreme Court, in their own wisdom, to see whether they are going to say that in the electoral process in this country, you can boycott the beavers. If you can boycott the beavers, good and fine. You know the meaning. In any subsequent election, INEC cannot carry beavers to any polling units that people will believe them.
Okay, while we believe our Supreme Court that they will do justice, there was the issue of Murtala Ajaka asking for a broader panel rather than just the three-man, a broader panel. So yeah, probably there will be justice in terms of having enough people to, you know, have a say in the final judgment. Do you think that's a very important factor? And what do you think the Supreme Court is not wanting to move towards that direction of having a broader people in the panel? Because we're told by the last CJN or the outgoing CJN that for the first time in Nigeria's history, we're having 21 justices in the Supreme Court to help the adjudication of cases and also make it speedy and true justice. Yeah. Why do you think there's the reluctance?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. Our legal team wrote an application to the Chief Justice of Nigeria asking for clarification why the composition of this panel is 5 instead of 7. And justice was done to it and delivered on that same day. The chairman of the panel said it's a law at the Supreme Court that 5 and 7 can always form a quorum. It's either 5 or 7.
But you have a smile on your face. It seems to suggest you don't totally agree with that explanation.
Well, as far as we are concerned, we have made our point very clear, succinctly clear, that since the chairman of the tribunal said, the panel said 5 is okay by the Supreme Court, we align with them. The lawyers of other political parties there were asked, and all of them said the application was unnecessary in the first place. That was how they put it. They said the application written by our lawyer was unnecessary. And we said, okay, since that is the view of the Supreme Court, we align with them. And they delivered the judgment and set aside the application to enable, because the case at this point is time bound. They will have to do justice to this matter any moment from now. That's where we are.
Okay, court cases are not new to post-elections. When we have elections like this, one party is either going to court to, challenge the outcomes of the elections.
Yes.
What makes this case of, the SDP candidates, gubernatorial candidates, Ajaka, different? I know that evidences have been presented in courts. What makes it different? And then, moving forward, I'm particular about moving forward, how does this affect, elections in Kogi State?
In politics, you are in the media. We are the politician. We know those that are on ground. Once you're on ground, you're on ground. The young man called Murtala Yakubu Ajaka is an epitome of humility. The guy is a grassroots politician. In fact, we call him organic politician. His movement at the campaign time was organic. Everybody loved the young man. And then, you see, let me tell you, we were all in the APC, and we were working towards his own aspiration. Before the governor, the outgone governor, in person of Alhaji Yahaya Adoza Bello, brought his own cousin from the same local government, from the same ward, from the same polling unit. In fact, when the Eastern politicians were doing this governorship thing back to back, it has never happened that one particular local government will produce governor twice concurrently from the same local government. And we said, okay, even if you are not giving to the eastern flank now, give it to the Okun people. That's west. You wouldn't have seen this problem.
All right. As we wrap up, let's look at on the final of the people of Kogi. What are the Kogites saying? Where does their allegiance and support lie? Even though, yes, we know that Usman Ododo is the man driving the seats right now. And for Murtala Ajaka, he's been quiet. What's his own take to on the people of Kogi?
One thing that is constant in life, that is equally sacrosanct, is truth.
True. Comes out.
Light and darkness are two different entities. They don't meet. Light will always overshadow darkness.
True.
I know Murtala Yakubu Ajaka is the one carrying the light. When we meet with the darkness, we shall see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, let me just ask this question before we wrap up. Yes, we see in Nasarawa State, the last election, they had protests. Some women came out. We saw videos of women come out naked to protest the outcome of that election. Has there been any sort of protest in Kogi State as regards, this election? Okay, the people to show support for Ajaka.
You see, when you talk about protest, some of us, our life was putting under serious danger 24 hours to the election. They visited my younger brother's house, who happens to be the DG campaign organization of Muria Sam Abenemi's campaign team. They went to his house. 2 policemen were killed there, and 2 of our younger ones were killed. The pallets of bullets we removed from that place that day was in thousands. Some of them were taken from that house blindfolded from Ayangba to Lokoja. It takes the intervention of the present IGP. He flew in with a helicopter to come and save those people. Otherwise, they were already tagged as how do you call them? Bandits. So when you talk about support or protest, we have done protests to the IGP's office. Our own is that we don't take laws into our hands. We protest according to the Constitution. We protest according to the law. But we are telling the law itself that by the time you continue to punish the poor, when they discover their right, they will revolt and there will be no peace for them. I want to assure you something. I pray, and I pray by the special grace of God, no matter how or where the judgment of the Supreme Court tilts it to, let it be fair and just. Let it be fair and just.
All right, I think that will be the first big task of the incoming CJN, if the outgoing doesn't do the needful. To be fair and just, and probably bring the judiciary to a better shining light, like he has said, they are the light. I want to say a big thank you to Abdul Wahab, Yunusa Adebu, who is a SDP, Social Democratic Party stakeholder in Kogi State, for joining us this morning, helping us share more light as regards what's playing out in Kogi politics, and we're hoping the right thing will be done by the judiciary. Like he has said, the judiciary and INEC are the 2 main people that could either sway Nigeria's democratic journey towards the right direction or the wrong direction. I will be going for a quick break. When we return from the break, we have other very interesting talking points. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your remaining.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. Can we not say that because
that this country gets it right?
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Get a shot in, squares it into the back.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast, here's business summary, sports highlights, international and local news perspective. I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. All right, welcome back. You're still watching Global Morning, and we're looking at another very interesting point that takes Nigeria to where the Nigerians, especially the electorate, where they want to be, achieving free, fair and credible elections is what we're going to be talking about this morning. And no better person but the chairman of Partners for Electoral Reforms, in the person of Ezenwa Nwagu, joining us in the live studios to give us a better perspective on how best the world's biggest black nation can achieve this very laudable goal, as we also have an eye for 2027. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us in the live studios.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. First of all, we already know that the politicians are already casting their nets ahead of for 2027. But for you, as someone who has been a key stakeholder in the elections in the country, as an observer and now the chairman of Partners for Electoral Reform, what will be your assessment of the last 3 elections in the country before you take us through to what needs to be done? And I know currently you're doing a very fantastic, patriotic job of trying to get the media and some Nigerians aware of the right things to be done to get the needed electoral reforms.
Well, thank you, Tony. I think we just now will shift from free, fair, credible to acceptable and inclusive, because the shift is to not just that it is fair, that it is credible, it is also that we work in a way that no one, as they say, is left behind. So assessment of the last 3 elections is a seminar work. So, but I'll just try to
probably the highlights.
Yes, to deal with it from the perspective from which I see things. I have been a positivist in terms of how I look at elections. I think that we've been making incremental progress. I think sometimes we are very uncharitable to ourselves in the way we criticize, the things that we do without spotlighting those things that has changed. I remember that we used to have elections where people are going for elections and the results of where they are voting is being announced. That's where we're coming from. It got to a point in which even the winner of the election was very clear that, look, I benefited from a flawed process. And he then set up what he called Justice Uwais Reform Committee. And there are certain recommendations from that committee that has been implemented. Indeed, about 90% of the recommendation of that committee has been implemented. The only outstanding will be the mode of appointment of the chairman and the national commissioners and resident commissioners. So what have we done? We have sort of moved from, clearly, we've introduced technology. That's the best way I want to put it, in the accreditation process and in the registration process, because election is I like to call it a process. It's not an event. It starts with the voter registration exercise, where citizens are captured, and then sometimes there is a cleaning of that voter register. And we've made a leapfrog in terms of, now we have about 96 million prospective voters from 50, if I don't know the 3 last elections you are talking about, whether you are talking about 2015, 2019 or 2023, yes. Or you are talking about the governorship, the presidential, and okay. So if it is 2019, so you left from about 54 million, you made it to about 80, now 96, and the truth of the matter is that is the total voting strength of almost all of West African countries put together. So anytime Nigeria is conducting election, we are actually doing election for almost all of West Africa. And so you see comparisons at times. People will say, oh, Liberia's voting population is the population of my state, Imo State. The total voting population of Liberia is the population of Imo State. So, but we, in terms of voter registration, we've made some progress. What about voter participation? Why do people register? They probably register because they want to have the voter's card as an ID card. They register probably because they are told that amenities that come to their area has to do with their voting strength. And so even at times there is community collusion to up the voter register because of those kind of things. So then we went into the whole issue of voter identification theft, where people could have 10, 20 PVCs, permanent voters cards. Now, what was the response to that? The response to that was to start a bimodal verification authentication system, which we call the BVAS. Now, the BVAS major job is to eliminate voter identification theft. Once there is accreditation through the BVAS, every other thing you do in Nigeria's electoral process has remained manual. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that. That's the intrusion of technology stops really at the point of accreditation. The rest process is manual. But what has that done? In the past, Lagos will have 6 million, like it has now, it has 6 million prospective voters. Kano has about 7 million prospective voters. Rivers has 3-point-something million voters. Akwa Ibom has about 3 million. So what you used to have in the past was that they just allow those states, they keep those states down and wait. But in 2023, you saw a clear situation where Rivers could not do 1.6. Kano could not do 2 million. Lagos could not do 2 million. It's actually the BVAS that was able to ensure that those homologous figures were not thrown in the way we used to have in the past, which is also what sometimes people translate to voter apathy. Because once you are now able to check multiple voting, then you know that the figures will radically come down. And that's so for me. What do we then get into where you want us to go to? What has been the role of the various stakeholders in the election pyramid? You have INEC sitting at the topmost of the pyramid. Then you have the security agencies. You have the politicians and their candidates, the voters. Now, to have free, fair, credible election, all of these stakeholders must play their role optimally to be able to guarantee free, fair elections. So the Independent National Electoral Commission will need to up its game in terms of strengthening its own internal governance mechanism in a way that does not allow unscrupulous officials to continue to paint them with the black tar that we have seen. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask, in the recent elections that we've had, what has been the most issue that has raised concern, the most significant challenge or issue that has raised concerns about the process, the credibility of the electoral process?
There are first issues of ignorance, and that has to be dealt with.
Ignorance from the part of the
ignorance generally, including the media, unfortunately. And
is that part of the project you're going through the country around?
Yes, and what you need to do to be able to ascertain that is just use Global TV as some kind of lab rat, and go out to your colleagues and say, how many of you have the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, whether in soft copy or in hard copy? The shock will be that you will find people talking so authoritatively about elections and not realizing that election is a law-governed process. All right. So for me, if you ask me, the first major thing we need to deal with is for people to appreciate that election is a law-governed activity. And once we're able to do that, that every step in the electoral process is governed by law. It's not governed by what we think in our head. Okay? So going to your questions, the biggest, most challenging thing was transmission of results in 2023. Everyone was hung on the presidential election. They did not transmit the results into the IREV according to them as INEC promised. So the first question to ask is, what is IREV? What is that thing? The IREV is INEC results viewing portal. Simple. Viewing portal. So the results that emanate from the polling units that party agents have a copy of, security agents have a copy of, are uploaded into a television for viewing. The best way I've tried to explain that is that you went to write an objective exam, they marked your scripts and gave you your results. You have your result, you already know what you scored. And then they said, oh, this your result will be put somewhere where people can see the results. And there's a challenge in terms of posting to that channel. Does it remove the fact that you already have your results? So the issue was much more not in terms of content. The challenge that we had was not the fact that it was just that people didn't understand that the politicians and their candidates already had the results that were meant to be uploaded. What we now need to do is to have an electronic collation process. We didn't have election collation, we didn't have results collation process. We had a viewing center. To shift for better integrity of results management process is to have a system where results are collated electronically, where people can see. I don't know if I'm making sense at all. So if it is the viewing center that we still talk about, the viewing center can go off, but it does not take off the fact that you have these results. In the South African election earlier this year, their system also, their viewing centers failed, but the politicians had their results. And there was not the hue and cry you saw in Nigeria.
Is this something close to the electoral college you have in the US?
No, electoral college is a different thing. This one is result management.
Okay, for the
Our biggest, weakest link has been result management. What does that mean? What it means is that our results move from polling units to wards where they are collated, from wards to LGA, from LGA to state if it's gubernatorial election, and then senatorial. All of those processes are all manual. They are handwritten in a form called Form EC8A. Now, this Form EC8A is entered manually and then uploaded into a place called IREV. Many times there is community conspiracy. Now, what is community conspiracy? Community conspiracy is where both the observers, the party agents are all compromised to manipulate the process at the polling unit. If there is a concurrence and solidarity of benefits among all these stakeholders to agree that the result should be manipulated, once it is manipulated at the polling unit and uploaded into that IREV, and everybody signs off that it is the correct result, even if me and you as observers and journalists, independent, who see that manipulation, shout from now till high heaven, what will enter is the signed copies of those results.
All right, let's for this process that you mentioned now, Is INEC aware of it? Is there plans to work towards this direction to ensure that this process, management of results, something is...
What can INEC do about community collusion?
In terms of this process, is there a mechanism being worked on?
So the value of the program we are having is the education that comes with people understanding first that INEC has removed winning elections in its offices. You no longer can win election in INEC. What does that mean? INEC helping you to write results. We have moved from there. So the response of the politicians is voter inducement. What you call vote buying or whatever. So when they shifted from that, they now went into this place that I've been hammering on, which is where there's a concurrence. You call yourself A party agent, B party agent. Your work is to defend the interests of your political party. But you sell them out at the polling unit and then come out to shout that the election has been manipulated. Meanwhile, you were a beneficiary of the corruption that has taken place at the polling unit that has led to that manipulation. So education is key in terms of understanding that today what we need is mandate protection. What we need is training of the political parties should train their agents and should have agents that are organic. What do I mean? 80% of the time, the folks who work as party agents are not members of that political party. The relationship between them and that party is transactional. What do I mean? You bring your brother, bring your sister. We are paying you 2,000. You there be a party agent. You are the same person who did party agent for this party in the morning will transform to become the agent of another party in the evening and take. Now, everything you do about election is polling unit centric. If you are manipulated out at the polling unit level, there is not much anybody can do to help you.
But are there specific reforms, that are being proposed or maybe implemented to address some of these challenges?
The challenge, my sister, about reforms is that the leaders of the reform are the politicians. Everything all of us are saying will have to go to the National Assembly to be enacted into a law. So there's a tokenistic approach. What do I mean? The guys who perpetrate what the changes that we want, the things that diminish us, are the ones who we go to help us. It's going to be very difficult. So they do tokenism. It's not that they are not shifting things. They are shifting things, but they are not shifting things in a wholesale manner in which it can benefit the kind of aspirations that we have. So what do they do? In 2022, INEC should provide assistive materials for people living with disabilities. Important as that is, how is it fundamental in reality to outcomes? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So that's now, whereas in the past law, it used to be INEC can, it should, but now it is mandatory for INEC. In the new law, we have a situation in which INEC officials can be punished for dereliction of duty. If an INEC presiding officer refuses to upload the results, he can go to jail for refusing to do that. But people don't walk to jail. Somebody will have to take them on to go to jail. And the people who will take them on is about, if I use the INEC official to my advantage, then it's well. If it will oppose me, then it's wrong. I don't know if you understand. So taking action in terms of what the law has already provided and the conspiracy between those who will change that law for the benefit of our aspirations is where the challenge is. But the push is that as citizen groups and organizations who understand the value of free, fair, credible elections, if we continue to put the pressure, they will then understand that at least let us move from one point to the other. We were in a place, like I said, we had temporary voters card. Today we have permanent voters card. We didn't have we had situation where people had multiple politicians who are buying voters cards and hoarding it. Now it is of no value to anybody. We were in a situation where you could stuff ballot box and then go and write the result in INEC office. Today, if you stuff the ballot box, because I said it is now polycentric, you cannot get that result. So those incremental shifts, as little as they are, is something that we can beat our chest. And the truth of the matter is that it's the media and civil society that has pushed for these changes, and we are sometimes not ready to even do some chest thumping around the achievements that we have made.
All right, the final question will be in terms of specifically what your organization is doing now, talking about Partners for Electoral Reform, going around the country. How would you assess the success rate so far?
Well, I'm excited. Partners for Electoral Reform is the name, but the registered name is Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center, because we couldn't register Partners for Electoral. So what are we doing? We're doing town hall meetings and training for the media in around the Electoral Act. But to be honest with you, the most enlightened segment of society have no relationship with these laws. And my sense always is that if people are knowledgeable, at least you have cured ignorance. Then to deal with mischief becomes a different thing. So we are working to cure that lack of understanding around the law, but it will become the responsibility of sanctions to deal with mischief. What does that mean? People who know but still go ahead to, it will be sanction issue, but knowledge issue, popularizing the Electoral Act, I think we're having at least about 90% success rates.
All right, that's how much you're going to take. I want to say a big thank you to Ezenwa Nwagu, who is the chairman of Partners for Electoral Reforms, doing a great job across the country with town hall meetings, trying to sensitize Nigerians on the electoral laws and the right way to go, so that our democratic journey is going to be far, far more successful. Like he has said, we're on the right track, making right progress. We'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be taking our last guest as we zero in as regards the NLC and the federal government and the Nigerian Police Force drama playing out, looking at the forensic tools like we use for investigations and helping the federal government and Nigeria curb crime. That's what we'll be looking at after this break. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever busy road, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it inside
Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi.
Right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching Global Morning, and we've reached the business end. We'll be looking at fighting insecurity using employing forensic tools is what we're looking at on today's this discourse, and we've got the Director General of the Institute of Security and Forensic Study in Nigeria, in the person of Dr. Morgan Okocha, as our guest to help us look at how key forensic study is in securing the country, especially with the recent issue concerning the Nigerian police force and also the NLC and other issues where recently Nuru Ribadu did inform or make a presentation after the hashtag End Bad Governance that using forensic study, large sums of amounts of $50 billion and other amounts were blocked via cryptocurrency. Good morning. Nice to have you join us on the program.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at the importance of forensic study in Nigeria and across the world in terms of fighting insecurity and other issues.
Yeah, I think knowing the importance of forensic is a long overdue for Nigerians to be acquainted with the importance and the principle and the application of forensic tools to investigation process and even intelligence gathering. Yes.
Okay. What are some of the importance of using forensic means to get
using forensic tools to gather an information is an intelligent process, because intelligent process are proactive in nature. So it helps to extract a vital information and process those information for prediction, for attention, for prevention. So there are a lot of software that can be deployed for intelligence information gathering using forensic tools. Then, not only that, we have the investigation aspect of it, which is retroactive in nature. After the incidents, what steps do they take? So, of course, the forensic tools are used software that are mechanisms, modern mechanisms used to extract information where ordinarily that it could be difficult for a native means of investigation. So it is used in a discrete investigation processes.
Okay, how do we have such tools, and do we have enough forensic experts in the country? We know you have an institute that's what you deal on. How many, or how do we have enough of forensic experts in the country to get this job done? And if we do, how come it's been hard for police and other, security agencies to, catch these bandits or terrorists?
Yeah, thank you. I think Security and Forensic Study Nigeria Charter Forensic Institute came on board since 2018, and since then we have trained over 10,000 personnel drawn from conventional security sectors and stakeholders from the intelligence activities, both private and public officers. And then with the rate of training, the forensic and security and forensic study in Nigeria has taken it up now. We have also upgraded techniques for including e-learning that involves individuals not coming to the center but can do the program online. So a lot of advanced processes have been deployed to enhance the awareness, to increase the knowledge for people to deploy the use of forensic. Of course, after these processes, we have a conference that been organized by the Institute to bring in the experts, forensic experts in Nigeria, both international community. We come together to brainstorm and induct fellows of the Institute. So, and that's after the induction, the individuals or the fellows will, of course, be going into researches and going back to their field of endeavors to practice forensic studies. So, of course, the science of forensic is has come to existence long ago, but the awareness in Nigeria, because of the process of the development stage of this country, we have not been able to implement the complete practice of the forensic. But with the onboarding of security and forensic study in Nigeria, so many security bodies have started, of course, accepting the technological principles in investigation. So let me just tell you that so many security bodies have set up forensic institutes or forensic department in their organization, just like civil defense, immigration, police have been into practice. But then the coming off of AIG and the AIG Guazo, who is the head of forensic in police, Nigerian police, it has made it so wide and broadened to bring in most of the personnel to be trained on the forensic technology. So his activities in police has also increased the practice of police in discrete investigation. So I think I have to commend him in that ramification. Then secondly, the AIG, no Rabado, who mentioned, of course, that
the NSA.
Yes, the NSA.
Okay.
Who mentioned that forensic tools have been deployed to stop some of the cryptocurrency illegal transactions. So, of course, we are aware that some of the economical status in Nigeria has been disarray. So, with the deployment of forensic tools by Nigerian police, so many of these activities have come to an end, relatively.
Right.
Now, how well, you know, I know there's some challenges. They will definitely have challenges in, you know, in integrating forensic tools into the operations of the Nigerian law enforcement agencies. Can you highlight some of those challenges and, you know?
Yes, of course. As a practicing practitioner, we are aware that most of the security bodies have been overfunded. The units are not well funded. And of course, forensic units need to be well equipped, because intelligence and the investigation cost money. So I think the challenge I envisage in the practice of forensic, both in the conventional security sector, is funding. Yes, so it's funding. Those are the challenges.
Okay, as we wrap up our conversation, let's look at, in terms of the recent issue, because that's what inspired this conversation. The NLC has accused the Nigerian police of bugging their office and said they invited forensic experts to come and see how they can ensure that their offices have not been bugged. In terms of what's the cost of employing forensic experts to do such work? Because some people have said, what monies did the labor use to employ those forensic experts to come do that, get the job done?
I want to correct the statement bugging. Bugging becomes illegal if there is no practice, if there is no law backing the practice. Nigerian police force have the power to go into private government properties or environment for the purpose of investigation and forensic analysis. So I don't think it is bargained by men saying from the NSC. It is not. So I believe that even if NSC want to employ the service of practitioners to sense the process of the investigation process, I think I should call them to put an end to that plan, because the purpose of police going into their premises to carry out activities of investigation, it is lawful.
All right, how expensive are these tools and equipment, forensic tools, and when investigations are done, what's the time limit? Is it something like using forensic means, does it make investigation quicker? And how expensive are these products?
Yes, most of these tools are very expensive, but they're not all that expensive. It depends and it varies. The tools that should be deployed for a particular investigation. So investigations and the cases differs. So the nature of the case depends the tools to be applied to extract investigation processes. Then we all know that using forensic means of forensic investigation is cheaper and simple. It is simple in the sense that what would take 2, 3, 5 days for a conventional orthodox practice in investigation to carry out, it will take a forensic expert just 1 hour to extract, to enable the case fall within 24 or 48 hours of arresting of a suspect, because at that time the person is presumed innocent. But when within deployment of forensic tools, within 48 hours, the investigator or the forensic expert should be able to get his case established.
Using forensic means, this is the last question as we wrap up. Is it admissible in court? How authentic can we rely on forensic?
Yes, the Law
results?
of Evidence Act was amended 2011, and it is admissible in court because the law was amended for Evidence Act, electronic evidence to be admitted in a court. So any court that refused to admit the evidence or electronic generated evidence in a court cannot be in existence in Nigeria, because that court should be working out of the principle of the law.
All right, you've got
No, I was going to, just ask, how the public can be educated more on, because whether we like it or not, we still need the public awareness and public to partner with, law enforcement agencies and all that. But how can they be educated on the importance of forensic tool and then, to aid investigations?
That is why, from my institute, we try to organize quarterly in seminars, programs, symposiums, conferences, bringing all these actors in place to equip them and to retrain them.
All right, and I think the most perfect will be coming to have a program in Global Television that will help you a lot. We've got coverage across the Federation and the West Sub-Saharan region, NICONSAT included, and I think probably your institute should look into that direction to help Nigerians understand the benefit of forensic investigation in the coming days.
Thank you. I think, should I throw more light on the NISAT and the 5Gs?
No, we're just saying if you come partner with us, we'll help get more publicity for the institute in order to get more. All right, time not our friend. Our producer says let's wrap it up. That's how we're going to call it a wrap on Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Morning. I want to say thank you to all our guests that joined us this morning. Abdul Wahab, Yunisa Adebu, who is the SDP stakeholder in Kogi State, for joining us this morning. And not forgetting the chairman of Partners for Electoral Reform in the person of Ezenwa Nwagu for also joining us. And of course, the last but not the least, Dr. Morgan Okocha, who is the Director General of the Institute for Security and Forensic Study in Nigeria, for helping us highlight the importance of forensic tools in investigation. And that's how we call it a wrap. My name is Anthony Momodu.
And I am Queen Agabadu. Have a beautiful day ahead. Bye for now.
Good morning.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they